Welcome to So You Went to School for Singing, the podcast. I am your host, Andre Peel, and thank you so much for joining the conversation. Each episode, a guest and I talk about all things singing, the career, education, and so much more. All right, let's get started. So today is a very special day. I am welcoming back Miss Stephanie Holly, who you may remember from episode 9 of season 1 of So You Went to School for Singing, the episode entitled Perseverance and Resilience. And today, Stephanie has a wonderful announcement that she's going to tell us all and talk about, and it's so great, and I'm so excited that she is here to talk with me. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Andre. I'm so glad you're so excited. I want your energy.
So, today, well, partly today, it's a rolling out, I'm assuming, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a rolling out, but starting today, you can listen to at least on YouTube your new EP, A New Holiday.
Yes.
So, first of all, congratulations. I've listened to it. It's beautiful.
Thank
You sound
you.
beautiful. The arrangements are beautiful. It's just so great and perfect timing. It's a beautiful light in what has been 2020 darkness for a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
congratulations. We all needed it or need it. So, tell me about it. What made you come to want to do an album, and what was that process like?
Oh man. So first of all, that phrase "wanted to do an album" was not on my list. I'm sure you may have seen my posts, and when I made that post about, oh, here are the big plans for Little Beats, making an album was not on there. So, but it happened because my friend Brian Owens, who's a local artist here in St. Louis, was sitting in his living room with his family, and he was talking about the holiday special that he usually does every year, and I believe it's with PBS. And then he was like, "No, you should do a holiday album," and I was like, "Me?" But he said that, I think, in regards to my position with Little Beats and my passion for Little Beats and wanting to work with children and families, he was like, "No, you should." And so I was like, all right. I didn't fight him on it because I love Christmas music, so I was like, duh. And that's how we got started. But the content for it just kind of developed as we had more creative conversations. Brian and I were meeting like consecutively every Monday via Zoom, talking about what should the album be focused around. And he's gone through quite a bit, just like everybody else this year, especially with losing a loved one this year. So, but he's still rolling, and I related to the feeling of just like, this is probably going to be a really new holiday for a lot of people because they're probably either have lost somebody or they're not able to travel to see their family. And I relate to that feeling so
Yes.
closely.
Yes.
As you know, when we're in school and stuff, we have the privilege of going home on Christmas break, but then after we graduate from college and we become adults and we're trying to work jobs, that's not guaranteed every year. And I wish somebody could have warned me of that, because that was kind of like one of those things where Stephanie already has a hard time dealing with things not going as planned. But when there's like no warning, like no forewarning that this is going to happen, and that's kind of what happened this year, that this is going to happen, and then it changes and it impacts the way you do things traditionally. It can rock your world. And so for me, it kind of rocked my world. Almost every year. I haven't had a Christmas. I've only had one Christmas at home since 2012.
Wow.
So every year it's kind of different. And I'm grateful because I think it was after 2015 on that I've been able to spend that Christmas or the holiday season with my husband. at the time was my fiance our first year, but before then, it was either with a friend or with friends, and I had to make something of it. I didn't want to be miserable and depressed around the holidays because the holidays mean so much to me and I love the holidays. And so I've had to draw more meaning out of the holidays than what I traditionally do. And so that's where the album kind of comes from, that place of, all right, I need to find something to be grateful for right now because I can't, I'm struggling. I'm struggling a little bit. So that's where it kind of comes from. So yes, that's question one.
That's wonderful. So when did this start? Was this earlier in the year? Was this the middle of the year? Was this recently? Because I'm sure it took a while to put it all together, make the music video, which we'll talk about in a second. So what was that timeline like?
Oh boy. So I think it was right in somewhere in August that he said we should do this. And then we didn't really, and then we started meeting. I want to say in August we started meeting every Monday, but we didn't record till October.
So this all has happened in the span of 2 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I think from what I can remember is that once we figured out what we were going to do, and I think it was somewhere in August, then by September, then we got in touch with the arranger and he arranged everything. And then by the end of October is when, like, October 24th, we hit the studio and that's when everything started to record. And I think we took that whole week in the last week of October to record everything. But the recording took till like maybe first or second week of November.
Wow.
Because there were still, like, I was pretty much done with my part with singing, I think the first week of November. But then there were still, like, voiceovers and other instruments that had to be added into. And you had to get so creative with this process because one, we wanted to save money, but two, it was just like we can't really see each other, like can't put all these people in one building. So
Yes.
what are we going to do? So that's why it kind of took a little longer for recording. I know we had like the arranger record in Philly. Like he recorded like the bass instrumentation in Philly with like at least 2 or 3 other instrumentalists. He sent over his recordings, and then when we record, I sang over those. And then we had other instrumentists, like an organist come, and the horn players come in, and then the string players come in. Like they all came in on their own time.
I think in general, we don't know what actually goes into making albums unless you've done one. But even that just seems, that's so many moving parts, that's so many people getting on one accord and working together. Because if you listen to the album, the arrangement, the production is just so stellar, which makes me still in awe that it happened so short. Because some people take months and months and months and months and almost a year for albums to kind of happen. So I want to look at the track list for a second. So you start with this beautiful poem as the intro. And then, so there are some songs that we all know, or at least that I know, but there's also some one that I did not know. Take Me Back to Toyland.
That was a happy mistake. Because originally I had planned to do Toyland. So there's a musical called Babes in Toyland. Mm-hmm. And when I was looking up songs that were public domain, because once again, we were trying to save money, Toyland was up there. And I was like, oh, this is a nice song. I really liked it. It's really beautiful. And it's from the musical Babes in Toyland. But then I came across Nat King Cole's Christmas album that he wrote for kids. It's called Cole, Christmas and Kids. And he has so many songs on there. They're beautiful. And that was one of them, where it's kind of a response to the song Toyland, where he's now an adult and he wants to go back to Toyland. And it's like that feeling of you're an adult, but I want to feel Christmas like I did when I was a child,
Yes.
is what I felt when I listened to that song. And I feel like we all can relate to this right now. So it was like, why not put that one on there? This one is going to set the tone, hopefully, for
Which
us.
it does. And it's so beautiful. And we have Deck the Halls with Jingle Bells. All these arrangements are so great because it's the song you're used to, but it's different enough that you feel that it's original and it's unique to you and the whole production. So we also have a duet, which I'm curious to know how that happened virtually or how that happened.
That happened. So my best friend Chanel, we've been singing. We've known each other since high school, and we went to Greater Hartford Academy of the Arts together. And while we were there together, we used to sing a lot together, all the time. Whenever we had projects together in school, we would sing. We would just look across the room and be like, okay, like me and you, right? Okay. And so it was like almost a no-brainer, although I was hesitant to ask her because I was like, how is she going to be able to record this? Because she's all the way in New Jersey and I'm here in St. Louis. So I was like, how are we gonna do this? And she had just created her own like in-home sort of like studio for herself to basically still work as an artist, because it's either you do that in her field, it's either you do that or you don't get paid, or you don't have work. And so when people have been asking for her to record anything, that's how she's been doing it if she's not able to pay for studio time or go in studio. And so when I asked her to do this, she said, yeah, it's like no brainer for her to just record it in her own studio. So I sent her my voice. I sent her the whole thing with the music and my recording over it. And so then she just recorded her part. And she's such a smart singer that she just knew where to come in, and she created her own harmony over the last part of the verse. That was not my doing. She's way more skilled at that she knew exactly what to do. So when I got it back, I was like, duh, why was I didn't even worry, honestly, about it. I was like, I know she has it. So
Yes, and everyone should be excited for that. Oh, Christmas tree. I don't want to give too much away so people can have a reason to, go listen. So tell me about this 12 Days of Christmas, because that also ties into the video ad or promo that you all did. So what was that experience like? Were kids always involved? Did you get them last minute? Where did the kids come from? What was that like?
The idea of having kids on the album was always there from the jump. It was a matter, and it changed so many times in the development of where they were going to be. But then when I wanted 12 Days of Christmas on this album, I was like, oh, the kids have to be in here, because this is a reflection of my life as a music therapist, is that I always have co-facilitators whenever I do group with kids. They are always like, Miss Stephanie, can I? Well, what if you did? Well, what does this mean? Like, I can't get through a song. I can't get all the way through a song. So I just wanted to exaggerate that a little bit with 12 Days of Christmas.
Yes.
And have the kids constantly asking questions, even though I've already asked, please don't ask it. Let's save them for the end. And they were just it's a reality. It so is. So that's why I wanted to include them in there. And they were they were a joy. So the actual recording, the actual recording, bless their father, Brian, because I just watched him go through this whole process. So the ages of the kids recording were from age 3 to age 13.
Wow.
So they were it was a lot for the younger ones, not so much the older ones, but the older ones were giving their fathers the business. And it was just like, it was so much I would like to call. It was legit sass sometimes. It was just like, but I don't want to do that. I want to say it this way. I don't say it like that. Well, then, and it was just like
their own little artists having their own little artist ideas.
And after They do. They really do, because those kids, I honestly, they have been used in other recordings, not just mine, but in Brian's as well. They have been used in other stuff. And so they actually, I think it was an older girl who said, why are we so good at this? Because they're like, people always ask us to do these things. I just hollered because it's true. But that process, I remember like one of the recording engineers just being like, once they left the room, he said, that was really challenging. I was like,
welcome.
So it's like, what you guys hear is literally what we went through in that process. Because it was like, so much energy, so much energy. But it was so much fun. I loved every bit of it. Getting the 3-year-old to say her 3 lines. She literally three lines. I don't know. I should have known better. Is all I can say, because I shouldn't have scheduled her during her nap time, because I almost didn't get those lines. She was happy to be there. She just didn't feel like recording. So it was her father worked his magic to get her to finally record her lines. But man, I just remember at the end when the kids, everybody left the building, he was like, oh, just like, and it was great though. It was great. I loved it. I loved every part of it. I'm glad they were there. They're like my family, so we had a good time.
So what do you want the audience and listeners to get from listening to the album? EP, you know, they call things whatever these days.
The album, the EP, I've been going back and forth. It's like, just an album, y'all, because I feel like 30 and up won't really know it. EP, no, let me say 40 and up. They might be like, what's an EP? It's an album. It's just short. But what I want people to get from this album is, man, that's really hard without that being tied to my own intrinsic value. But I really just hope what they get out of it is just some comfort and some kind of joy out of it, because I put a lot of joy into this album. I put a lot of heart in here, and the heart is meant to bring some joy. You know, I don't know if it's that deep, but I know a lot of heart went into it. And you'll see that if you go to the website, the Little Beast website, and you see a new holiday, there's more and more information as to why I chose each song. And there's a lot of personal notes tied to them. Especially, it was really hard just recently when I did my live this afternoon to talk about my reason for doing the album, period. And the one song I think that was, one of the reasons is my great grandmother passed away in 2018, and since she passed away, so many traditions that I think I had grown up with are now gone, including our house. So that was kind of hard for me to just kind of imagine now my holidays and my home visits are without her and without my grandparents, without that tradition. And actually, Deck the Halls with Jingle Bells is sort of my homage to her, because I can hear the sass in the music that remind me so much of my grandmother, and kind of that light gospel feel with the organ in there and the rhythm. All of that was intentional to sort of reflect that. But this whole album is dedicated for children and families who are struggling through this pandemic, and I hope that it could just shine a light to help them at least enjoy maybe a snippet of the holidays. It may not be the whole holiday you'll be able to enjoy, but just take a moment to just escape and find some joy in the holidays.
Excellent. So right now you can find the whole EP on YouTube. If you type in Little Beats LLC, A New Holiday probably will get you there.
Yeah, I can't remember. I haven't typed it up in YouTube. I just created the video.
I think if, hold on, I will check. If you type in A New Holiday EP, there should be a playlist that pops up, the one that you made. And if there are multiple A New Holiday EP, which who knows, it's YouTube, Little Beats LLC, I think is what you need to do to make sure it's the right one. And then eventually we'll be able to stream it on the big platforms. That's
Mm-hmm.
exciting. And we at So You Think So You Went to School for Singing.
So you think you
And
can sing? Is
so
that
you
what
think
you
you can sing and dance. So You Went to School for Singing will update when it's definitely all streaming on all those platforms to everyone. Um, thank you so much for talking about it. Thank you so much for doing it. I hope it encourages other people to, like you said, find some happiness this season, even if it's not the whole season or every day, but to find it where they can. Because it, like you
Yeah.
said, it will be a new holiday for a lot of people for lots of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to the next album that I'm just going to speak into existence, and there should be another one. um, yeah, so thank you so much. And
Oh, thank you.
everyone, listen to the album, support, and I will see you next time.
All right.